it's all HD resolution. And even when I look through the engine here, it looks all 3D. The textures are that HD that it almost looks like there's tessellation in FSX. I set ease dock today to follow my mouse, so it should be a lot easier for you guys to follow along with this tutorial. Or this first look, I should say. So let me zoom out here. Not too much where you're seeing underneath the world. But just taking a closer look at little things like the detail of the wheels. As you can see, all the bolts and the rivets are connected there. Even scratches on the actual, more like dirt marks, just for the realism effect. The goal that A2A wants to provide is, this is your aircraft. You can do what you want with it. Treat it, this is your baby, that you have to maintain it. You have to look after it. And if you leave it aside for a long time, FSX will automatically, degrade it. Well, this plane will actually degrade itself if you leave it alone for too long and stuff like that. And that's the neat part about it. It's like a living, more bringing into a living, breathing world aspect. I mean, I'm just going around the aircraft so you can see more stuff about it. But you can see all the rivets and everything. It's really nice, really detailed, and I would totally recommend it. I'm live streaming right now, so I'm getting a little bit lower frame rates, but I can assure you that there was no frame rate drop at all. I was playing at, before when I came in, it was like 45, and I think A2A did an extreme excellent job at making this frame rate friendly. I think that's what they focused on a lot, and this can be used for a lot of people regardless. This is a trainer aircraft. This is no FSX default stuff. It's all realistic, and that's what I enjoy about it the most. So I mean, I guess we can get started. So first off, I fly this aircraft in real life, as I've told you before, and that's why I really like this aircraft, because it's the first one I've flown at training, and I can relate to it a lot more. So I'm just going to go through a few things here, like the Shift 1 keys. Shift 1 is no operation. Shift 2, you can see a little bit stuff about the aircraft. Pilot's notes. Okay, you can see power settings. Priming for cold engine. Notes. So basically these are... Sorry, my mouse is following. Ease dock, but these are just procedures to be looking at. And as we're just looking at the external, we're going to get inside very, very shortly. But just showing you what Shift 2 does, it has just different power settings for the takeoff. There's more like planning, pilot's notes. Then we have our controls. The beacon should be always on. So, I guess there's no power to the aircraft, so I guess that's off for now. But that beacon is selected there, and then we have a few other stuff like the glare shield. We can put on things like that. Let me go up to the front here. Don't really notice anything different with the glare shield. I have to read up in the instruction manual, but this is basically just a fully unboxing of it. So right now it's at cold and dark. I went ahead, selected the cold and dark. I had nobody inside the cabin or anything. I have strings attached here, and this is some of the stuff that you have to know how to do, especially when you're starting to train to become a pilot. Learn how to tie those knots. A knot down here, I don't usually tie a knot down here at my training place. Don't know why. But and then there's some knots over there, which is pretty neat. I could turn on damage. Damage is on because I want the full realism effect. Empty plane, yes. I could open each single door that I want, which is pretty neat. I selected it twice. Let's select it again. But yeah, it's pretty detailed what I've noticed from far. You have all these different options. Tie downs, headphones, sunglasses, generator, mags, battery, avionics, defroster. It's a whole variety of controls that you can add and preset yourself. So let's go ahead, select the payload manager, and as you can see, it's pretty much what it says. You could select your different passenger weights. Let's see here. I guess since it's cold and dark, it doesn't allow me to. Okay, so I have to select pilot. I can select between 4 different models. Let's go ahead and see how that model played out. Alright, Arnold Schwarzenegger in the cockpit. Nice, nice. And you can set the weight, and you can set the fuel, right and left, and the baggage, which is pretty impressive. So I'm going to go ahead and take out that pilot right there. He's gone. Now let's go on to, we have a little radar for ourselves, more of like a map guide. I'm not going to be using this most of the time because it's unrealistic to have something like this, more for air traffic control, but that's just for reference, I believe, inside the A2A aircrafts. I've noticed that in other A2A aircrafts, which is pretty neat. I have my quick radios. This is a panel for the radios. Then I have my garage here, which is pretty neat. This is what I love about A2A so much. So right now it says it's in a beautiful shape. Nothing's wrong with the aircraft. It's all cold and dark, and as you can see, I just unboxed it, so I have 0 hours, and yeah, pretty much just 0 hours everywhere. And which is the neat thing, they can give me a complete overhaul here if I just wanted to reset everything. Still in beautiful shape. I'm going to disable the EaseDock add-on real quick, and we're going to bring it here, center it back over to the aircraft so you guys can see. Oh, other way. There we go. So we're just going to play around with the panels first here. So I have different types of tires. As you can see, the air track is used for area that's not on the common asphalt, grass strips, stuff like that. Air Hawk is more smooth surfaces, stuff that's paved. Forgive me if I'm wrong on this. This is just raw. I can choose from the different battery powers I want, just for different optimal settings. I can also check through my engine the oil lines. Right now, I can change oil, which is interesting. I can select the type of oil that I want, which is pretty neat. I guess I already went and did that. So, different crankshaft, spark plugs. I can change my spark plug from massive to fine wire. My fuel filter, my fuel pump, and it's a whole different variety of settings that you could use for the engine and change it all for different optimal settings. I'm not going to touch it right now, but personally I think that this is better than driving a Lamborghini or driving a Ferrari of any sort, because I mean, planes, they fly a lot faster than those cars, and they're just amazing at overall performance. I can also select if I want the fairings. Let's see, I have my fairings for those wheels back there, but I usually don't fly with a fairing. Just so I can do the checks on the more checks around the wheel. If they're closed up like that, I couldn't really inspect the wheel too much, and I don't want that to happen. I don't know if there's a way to do that at all. I can heat the engine even if, like, for example, I'm flying in the summer right now. I can heat the engine if I want it to be warm in the winter. Say I loaded up a flight and I selected winter, which is pretty neat. I can swap the propeller with different propeller types that I want. Right now I'm leaving it as default because I don't really want to mess with stuff like that yet. I don't know what the performance difference is between the two different propellers. I'm assuming speed, but I'm not going to get into much into that yet. I want to check out the flap seals because I saw something about that into the introductory video. Sorry about the ease dock, but let's exit that, and we're gonna go ahead and check out the flap seals. So right now, I'm assuming that's no seal. Let's go over back to the. I have seals on the flap now. Okay, great, which is pretty neat. So I assume that this will speed up the aircraft since it's less overall gaps in the wing, and then you could remove the flap seals by doing that. That is pretty neat. So I guess this is optimal if you're doing a race, but I will remove the flap seals just for keeping it default as possible. Alright, so we have the complete set. We just looked through the maintenance hangar, or however you want to say it. Then we have a checklist. So this pre-flight, let's see, then we have away from keyboard. I can pause and have different types, which is pretty neat. Altitude, time, distance, very nice, very nice. I guess that all goes into the log, just for if you want to pause, it will pause it in the log as well, not just by pausing it in FSX. So I guess this is the pre-flight inspection, so I guess we should get started. Personally, I'm the type of guy when for example, when I come over here, when I'm at my local FBO, I would come out of Princeton Airport in New Jersey, which is 39N. For all of you guys that fly there as well, Princeton represent. Just going over a few things. I usually just walk up from the aircraft on this side, so I'd be about this height. I would walk over to the aircraft, and I would open the door. So Shift E that. Doors open. Oh, that's weird. Wonder what happened. I think it has to do with some of the tie downs and things like that. Usually some stuff in A2A are restrictive, especially if you have different settings set up. Please don't quote me on that, because I'm not exactly sure. But again, this is a first look. So I'm going to see if there's any area for that of the aircraft, so I'll check that, and then I'll do the walk around. So I would start from here, like this box here. I'll look at the side of the aircraft here, go under the wing, go over the wing, check there. I would check the elevators. I would also go and check inside the inside here, so I could check for the bolts and stuff like that. And then I'll just go around in a circle and come back around. But today I'm going to go by the A2A way, do it off the checklist. So this checklist, I'm not exactly sure where it starts. I assume it starts here. Whoa. So I guess I'm going to go ahead and tick off the ease dot cam, and I'm still in the cockpit here. So yeah, so I guess you click on each of these and it changes your views, which is pretty neat. So I'm here in the cockpit. My controls are locked, so I can't move it at all. It's totally locked. Everything's good. Have my map there. Close out my map, and looks pretty detailed to me. Let's see if I can open it from the inside. I see. Okay, guess not. I'll figure that out later. No worries. And as all A2A aircraft, probably gonna go ahead and have to make sure all my realism settings are, oh, there we go, unlimited fuel off, aircraft stress causes damage, and I want to add all my realism settings. Pilot controls aircraft lights, GFX I assume, auto rudder no, and yeah, just make sure with A2A aircraft you keep all your realism settings on. I don't even know if this door is gonna work, but I guess that's a problem for the day. I still have to read the manual. So, going back to the checklist and my tube covers here. In the cabin, I have to make sure my pitot tube cover is removed. Not sure. I guess it's removed. Pilot operating handbook in the plane over there. Oh, I guess apparently it has that mouse icon where you can click. I don't know if you can actually click that and it opens up the PDF, which would be pretty interesting. But I'd have to check my weight and balance. Yeah, this is exactly how I would do it in the aircraft. I'd have to check the weight and balance charts. It would be in the manual. I have the manual sitting, it's upstairs for the Cessna 170. Actually, my flight bag should be right over here. Just wait. Should have my flight bag right here. And I should have the manual in there. So, yeah, I have my own Cessna Skyhawk 172S operating handbook right here. Hope you can hear those pages. But yeah, so that's just checking the weight and balance in there. My parking brake is currently set, so you can see as it's set. Control wheel lock, I can go ahead and remove that by just clicking on it, and it's down there. Ignition switch, it's already set off, so that shouldn't be a problem. Avionics master switch off, battery switch on, so go ahead, turn that on. And as Scott said in one of his demo reviews, every single switch has their own sounding to it. As you just saw, the amps, it just moved a little bit there, which is pretty realistic to me. So after we turn the master arm on, I assume I can remove the, there we go. Once we turn on the pitot heat, fuel quantity check. So I would check my fuel quantity right now. I have full fuel. Avionics master switch on. So now my avionics switch is running. So you heard the test, which is pretty neat. Static pressure out source valve. Gosh, where is that? There we go. I guess we're supposed to leave that off. Annunciator panel test switch. Gonna go ahead and switch that to test. All the lights light up, they flash, which is pretty neat. I can go ahead and set that. I'll set it back to bright there. Alright. So we're gonna go ahead and make sure the appropriate lights remain on. Go ahead and turn on the beacon. I guess the beacon wasn't turned on before, so beacon, strobe lights, I don't believe that turns on as such now. We don't need any lighting, tax lights, or nav lights right now. I'm gonna go ahead, all lights illuminate. So I guess, okay, I guess I'm on the wrong step. All appropriate lights, fuel selector, both. So go ahead, select it to both, and you could hear the sound on that too. Very nice. And I can check my fuel shutoff valve. It says that I have to push it in. So full, and it's all the way in. And okay, I can't drag that, it's not a draggable one, so I guess it's just all the way in. I guess that's the default. So going to now it wants me to extend my flaps. I assume this is part of the checking, so go ahead and put my flaps all the way down. There we go. They're coming down pretty nicely. Over there as well. And once I do that, I can turn my pitot heat off. I would assume that's just for checking, and my avionics master switch off, and I'm gonna go ahead turn my battery off, and my elevator trim, it should already by default be set for takeoff. But I know one of the hardest things, especially when I'm training in real life, sometimes the elevator trim, it looks different from different perspectives. So say like the camera was just up there, although I just used shift and backspace to go down. And sometimes the elevator trim in the real aircraft, for me, it would, sorry, I reset the view. But yeah, sometimes it, like say I'm sitting up here, it'd be a little bit lower. Then my instructor would say, oh no, it's perfect. But then if I move my head a little bit down, it starts to get right in the perfect view. So I guess that's relative aspect, but I assume that it's still in the perfect position. Alright, so my elevator trim is already set for takeoff, and usually I would look back if the seats were not this high. I'll look back and make sure that the trim tab, let me use the mouse, make sure that the trim tab is level with the elevator, basically, like that. So I guess I'll automatically stabilize that. So put back my steering wheels there, my yoke I should say. So go over to the next check. Oh, so as you press the checklist, it goes along with you. Very nice. So we're at the left wing here. Very nice. Pitot tube. Touch it with your fingers. Make sure it's not hot. I guess I'm touching it with the mouse. Oh, okay. Actions. Very nice. We have an actions menu here. So I guess I don't have to be touching my monitor. Blue. I guess that's good, right? Yeah. I would assume that's good, yes. So next wing fuselage, I can open it, and I can open the back door with a key. Oh, you can see the key right there as well, which is pretty neat. So to assume, lock it with key. So I would check it. I'm not necessarily sure if you can open it, but it does have a key, which is pretty neat. And I assume once you press the action, it's going to automatically be locked. So I guess we don't really spend too much time here. So go to next, and or the tail. I guess they placed this in the wrong position, or my ease dock messed with it. So looking at the tail now. So we have to make sure a few things. Sorry, I'm just moving my chair. But yeah, we have to make sure a few things are perfect first. So the tail tied down is disconnected. There's no, that wire tying it down is disconnected. Control surfaces, check movement, and security. So I assume that would mean to make sure that each of the control surfaces are working properly. My trim tag, I would check that it is secure and conditioned. So necessarily on the check that I do in real life, you're not supposed to touch a trim tab. That's the one thing you're not supposed to touch. So as long as it's making sure that it's level, it should be okay. And you should check the antennas, make sure they are secure. Let's put that down. And the antenna is curved too. I'm pretty sure they go a little bit higher once they're in the air, which is pretty neat. So I assume I could have done all that I just did with the actions menu, so I can remove that. Ooh, whoa, pretty neat. So I can actually go and look at it more intuitively. So I don't believe that when you move it, it moves it on the static picture, but This is essentially just showing you a static picture of what you're supposed to be looking for, so you know already. So, yes, I don't really check these in real life, but yeah, this is something very interesting to learn. Tell my instructor that when I go back to him that you did not teach me to check this. Or, I do check this rotating little wrench over here and a few other stuff in between. So static pictures will guide you, which is pretty neat. Um, I have even more static pictures here to show me specific things I'm supposed to be looking for. So in between here, between there, and hmm, I wonder if they actually have these things modeled. So if I go over to my, sorry about that, ease off whenever it's enabled. Yeah, that, oh, oh, right, hear that sound in the recording, but it's making a more of like a clicking sound, and it actually moves this. So make sure that the trim tab is secure and locked in condition, which is pretty neat. I like how they move that. So I mean, that I can relate to because I have a friend that has actually, this is kind of like story time. So I have a friend that has actually had a trim tab issue. They were flying over in New York, and they were on the Hudson, flying down the Hudson corridor, and then the controller's telling him to go down. He's pushing down on the yoke. The plane's not going down. He's trimming. The plane's still not going down. So apparently, I would assume that the trim tab was stuck, and then all of a sudden, his plane just took a dive. Um, he did survive. He just pulled up. His instructor pulled up for him, and to this day, sadly, he does not go back into flying because of that event. So a lot of little things like that you have to make sure are secure, or else you can have a huge fatality. And that's just a lesson to be learned, that you need to check your aircraft properly before you take off. So I just turned on ease lock again because I wanted to look at something here, something interesting. Usually on some aircrafts, some Cessna aircraft, this back part of the rudder here, near to where my mouse is, see this little tab right here. That rudder tab basically is usually bended sometimes for left turning tendencies. Sometimes the manufacturer will just bend that just a little bit. And you'll see that on your aircraft in real life. It'll be bended a little bit. Depending. And it's not the same for everybody, but, usually just make sure that those left turning tendencies are ignored, especially with the aircraft. Or other turning tendencies that the aircraft may have. And I'm not exactly sure of any others, but I would assume. So I could either press on this arrow or press on this dot to go to the next one. And we're at the right wing. So we can press and hold this to make sure the right wing is secure. Really thought you could use your mouse and actually move it. I guess not. Which is disappointing. Oh well. Press and hold. You can shake it, which is pretty neat. And then I'm not sure what this other step is, but I would assume this is a static picture showing things you need to be checking for on the aircraft. And as you can see it there, that rivet there, usually check for these things, especially turn on ease duct again. Sorry, I'm gonna go and manually look at that real quick. Inside here you can see just as the photo shows. Sometimes you see the sky, like for example when I do this, you can see the sky there, and the ripping is because ease duct goes too close to the camera, just so you guys know, so nobody's confused and think this is an alien plane or some sort. So let me rise up here, and I can see on the top here as well, checking. I don't know if you can change the wing type, because I mean this wing looks a little bit different than how mine looks at class. I forgot what wing type this is, but this one kind of goes in, I should say. The other one at my school is a little bit different. I guess you can talk to me down in chat to tell me what that's about. I forgot what it's called. I learned it in school. Anyway, and if you look at the detailed of the wing, you can see the actual rivets of the wing, which I mean the flap, sorry, which is pretty neat to me. I mean, realism and graphics quality is one of the best things to be looking for. So as again, it's making that clicking sound as you move it. Don't know if you could hear it in the recording or not, but yeah, I guess you can relate to that when you buy it. It's pretty neat. Going on to the next, we want to make sure for the aileron we're checking proper movement. So I would assume go left, right, and you can see it. If you can barely see it on the side, you can see as the yoke moves from the inside out there. Wingtip lights, check condition. So here you would want to make sure that they're not cracked or anything. Don't assume that's possible in FSX. Wish it was, but hopefully they convert this for prepared 3D version 2. Get some Sig DirectX 11 action. But that's off topic. But going back to the aileron position, apparently he wants me to check something in here. Don't think I ever had to do that in flight school. I need to give my instructor a talk after this, because I'm learning more things than I'm actually doing at lessons. So assume when you lift this up, you're supposed to see something underneath there. So you can barely see it. Oh, okay, this is something familiar actually. I think of this should be, if you can see, there should be where my mouse is, those dashed lines over there. There should be a wire in there, like coiled in there. Of course, this is FSX, so you can't have that detail. But there should be a wire in there, coax to, you have to make sure it's there and underneath there in proper condition. And there's another one over there. Oh, apparently this aircraft has three of them. I thought there were two. But yeah, but inside there you can see those little rivets there. You have to check and make sure they're okay. So I'll go ahead, disable my ease duct camera. Go ahead onto the next wing tie down, disconnect. I guess that's a toggle there. Leading edge. You have to make sure the leading edge of the wing, there's no damage whatsoever. I really like this aircraft because it, guides you through all these actions, things that a newbie wouldn't know about. and this is A2A Prime Technology. Sorry about that. I have some AI aircraft moving out. Don't know if you can hear that annoying engine sound. He's gonna leave. I guess he's going somewhere, searching for a missing aircraft or something. That reminds me, we also have a few different variants of paints. I think it's maybe 3. I didn't check through the whole thing. I know I'm going off topic here, but just to cover more things in a shorter time. Let's just see. Select the aircraft. Take a while because I have a bit of aircraft on here. Yeah, going on, talking about a few things about this aircraft. Okay, I guess it loaded up. Loaded a few Abacus aircraft there. As you can see, we have 3 different repaints here. I'm using this one. We have the Civil Air Patrol one and that. Don't know if there's anything that I'm missing. Cessna, Coronado, goodbye, sorry. I'm done with you. Yeah, I'm not really seeing anything else. But yeah, just 3. I guess in the future you'll be able to introduce your own. So I guess you can go ahead and go on to the next step, which I believe is the wheel. So, main wheel tire, check for proper inflation and inflation, yeah, and condition, air condition. Looks pretty good to me. What do you guys think? Good? After a real world tip, you have to examine the tire tread and depth and wear. So, because of FSX limitations again, I wish I did it like the Cub. For some reason, I feel like the Cub had better quality tires. I don't like just texture wise and stuff. But I may be wrong. Maybe I have to look at that again. But it looks okay to me. Usually you'd have to check in the treads, make sure. This one time I was looking and I saw spiders in there, which is weird. In real life. I just had spiders, a bunch of spiders. There was like a nest of them. So we're gonna go ahead, examine tire tread and depth and wear, blah blah blah. And one thing you have to, okay, that guy better leave because he's annoying me with his engine sound. I guess he's leaving soon, so we won't hear his engine anymore. I don't know if you guys can hear it, which is the weirdest part. Don't know if I set this live stream up right. But you can see this little trim tab in, this tab in here. You have to make sure that's in. You always have to make sure that's in or else the wheel can slip right off. Right there. That's what I check for in real life as well. And they modeled it in here, which is pretty neat. So we're going to snap the fuel drives, drain and inspect fuel. So I'm not exactly sure. I believe this is the fuel checking. I don't know if we go on top for this step, but yeah. Oh, the next step would be going on top. So you click on this action, and basically in real life you take this cup right here and you look. So I think this is animated. Is it? I guess not. But I think this picture changes as you see. You'd see sometimes oil down here. Sometimes I saw a lot of oil down here. Sometimes you have to look out for bubbles as well, because this is oil and water. With oil and stuff like that, you have to make sure there's no bubbles, because if you put water and oil, it'll bubble up. You'll see bubbles of water down below because of the density shifting. And you have to make sure none of those incontaminants or stuff like that. It has to be clear blue and stuff like that. I believe the other color was red or green. I think it was either one of those two that used to be. I'm not even sure. But yeah, which is pretty neat. And you can drain more, which would obviously take out of your fuel, so I'm not going to drain more right now. But basically, you see this top thing here? You'd put it, oh my gosh, I believe there's 3 underneath each wing. I'm not sure what type. So these holes here, 1, 2, aircraft are so light. Well, obviously they have to be lighter than air, but I mean, like, wow. So it holds your weight as you step on this, put your hand on this, and I guess I forgot somewhere else. Oh, there should be somewhere else for you to put your other foot here. But I guess on this model it doesn't have it. You're supposed to put your foot on here somewhere, I think. Yeah. So, and you guys are probably wondering, how many hours do I have? Yeah, okay, I'm gonna admit it. I only have about 6 or 7 hours, give or take. Not all of them are in the book, but I've gotten some knowledge while I was flown. I know that's not a lot to you 737 pilots or somewhere up there, but let's go over to the action sheet here, and there'll be a stick that you put in, kind of like a suction. I don't know if you've ever been at a restaurant. You put your straw in the cup, and you put your finger on the top. You pull it out, and you can still see the juice on that. It's kind of like a suction type thing, where you can see how much fuel you have. So right now, I think this is a static pick, but I'm not exactly sure if it actually moves with it. Not sure. It'll be pretty interesting though. But as you can see here, based on this picture, I have a good amount of fuel. So there shouldn't be anything to worry about. Nothing to worry about there. So I'm going to go into the next step here. Nose. Yes, this is the interesting part. The oil. I don't know. I think you can open that cap. I don't know. I think I saw a picture of that. But anyway. Engine oil dipstick. So you have to check the oil level. So you basically, let me move this to the side so you can see. You basically open this little cap here. You press on that little button. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can see. You press on this button here. This will pop open, and then you would have this. The oil's in there. You pull it up. Let me get to check with that. Change the oil every 2 to 5 hours or 4 months. So I have to do that. This is a literally living aircraft, so you have to do that, or else this aircraft is going to get damaged. Whichever comes first, this can extend to 40 hours if the plane is flown daily. Wow. So, don't let your engine sit for a long period of time with dirty black oil. Since acids and internal... Ooh, that's new, something I learned. This corrosion. Yeah, this is simulated in real time. Even if you shut off, if you even close FSX, it's going to be simulated, everything. You have to be careful with this, or else you can break your A2A aircraft. Sure, you can do a complete overhaul, but that's no fun, right? Yeah. Alright, so you have that action down. I don't really see why they call it action. Please, I don't know if I'm doing any of this wrong, but please, in the comments down section below, I want you guys to type in whatever I'm doing wrong, and then I want a bunch of people to thumbs it up to make sure that it's not wrong, because I want to make sure that I'm doing everything right, and I don't want to give you guys false information. Then A2A is getting mad at me. But yeah, generally like that. So next step, here, this is what I'm usually familiar with. There should be another fuel pump. Oh, there we go. So fuel strainer, quick drain valve, drain and spec fuel. So basically you're supposed to take this little thing here again, this little tab up here, same idea. You're just sumping some of the fuel, and you'd put it underneath one of these holes. Let me see if I could. Oh my gosh, how to go down? I'm using like the FSX default. I don't even know. I'm sorry, I can't really go down. I forgot what the control was to actually go down and look underneath. I mean, I could use ease lock, but I think that's going to be too much hassle. Anyway, so I'll check for proper inflation and condition. Check for the strut extension here. So over here, I would put 3 fingers down, and I'd put it over. In real life, you'd put 3 fingers, like take 3 of your fingers, just your middle, your pointer, your middle, and your ring, and you'd put it right there. I'm doing this as I'm speaking, so I might not be moving the mouse because I'm using my hands right now. But yeah, you put it right there, and you make sure it's at least 3 fingers. Can't be anything but below that, because when you land the aircraft, it's going to land, and once you land, this wheel, it'll snap down, and the suspension, this is more part of the suspension, it'll go up and it might slam, mess this up, and damage your aircraft. You don't want that. You don't want a hard landing. No. So you gotta make sure everything's okay. Gotta take care of this aircraft. This is your aircraft. Treating it like it's my own. So you have frontal part of the aircraft. You can check for damage and security. So I mean, usually what I would do here is you check inside these holes. Some birds like to come in here because the engine is so warm after it lands, so those birds like to make nests. Then make sure there's no birds or bees nests, even though it might be dangerous. You might put your finger in there and you might get a bite. Hey, gotta make sure. Then you have to make sure that there should be like a band. I forgot what it's called. It's kind of like when you open up your car engine, if you've ever have a car, and you see that band that's spinning. I know a lot of you guys, aviation geeks out there, know what that is by listening. So I'm gonna head on, but there should be that band in there that you have to make sure it's nice and secure. It'll probably end up be in the comments somewhere. Then you get even closer, and you have to make sure engine coolant clear of obstructions right here. That's where the birds and the bees nest come in. Make sure that's all out. Air filter, you have to make sure there's no debris. And I would assume this is in action. Not really working for me. Oh well. Man. I guess it's an action to look. And I still have to read the manual. Don't get me wrong. But this is just a first look. Then you have the left static source opening. This little hole here. Altitude. That's for altitude, guys. For all those noobs that don't know. But yeah. Pressure. It'll find the pressure, altitude, and information. So the static port, you have to check for a clear of blockage. It has a tiny little icon picture here to represent what it looks like. I think that's pretty cool, right? Alright. So next, we have the other opposite of the fuel pumping check. Put your foot there, put your arm there, and finally, they have that thing where you put your foot. See that? That's what I was talking about. I know I wasn't crazy. Put your foot there. There we go. So we have our out of gas. There, we're gonna want to go ahead and check. Good amount of fuel. Good amount of fuel. Good, good. I believe that picture changes. So I may have. Looks a little bit higher than the last, doesn't it? Let's go back and check. I want to make sure. Might have. Oh, I guess they're the same. No biggie. No biggie. Alright. Next up. Make sure the fuel tank's up, drain valve. So, I'll take this little thing again and do the same with these wings here. You have the holes there. You put it through the hole. I believe there's 13 on the aircraft in all. So I don't know why I'm. And breathing in. So put a cloth over it, and you put your mouth to it. And what that does, it'll make a whining sound to make sure it's working. This is basically the sound to indicate that you're stalling. And that can be pretty bad. Basically, when you stall, basically fall out of the sky. And that's essentially what the static port, the stall warning opening does. So as you fall, air is rushing out of this, and it gives that whining sound like, okay, I know. Sound weird. Wing tie down, we're gonna check that in a sec. Landing lights, check for condition, looks nice. Leading edge, we're gonna check for damage on leading edge later. So we have the tie down here. I don't know if that makes a sound. I wonder. Huh. Guess not. But yeah, I guess these are just pictures. Small little pictures. Clicky on it doesn't do anything. So I'll check the manual later for that. So go to the wing here. Very nice, very nice. Looks good to me, right guys? And same thing with the other side on the ailerons. Checking inside those rivets in there. but I'm not going to go ahead and do that right now. But last step, check this, press and hold. Don't know if you guys can hear that. I wish I knew positively what was going on here. Alright, so it's recording on TeamSpeak. Yes, I just exposed myself. Yeah, it's recording nicely. And then I would check here to look at the picture to make sure that it's going as well. I'm recording as well, so even as I live stream, I can put a copy of this on my YouTube channel so you guys can see this demo again. And I don't know if YouTube does that by itself, but I'm just recording just in case I lose everything. But going on here, you have different conditions of the flaps. This is basically just a picture showing you. So I'm going to carry on. Oh, you can transparency that as well if you wanted to. But yeah, so we've done all of the externals. So we're back in the cabin. In my mixer settings, I'm going to go ahead and turn my FSX up so you guys can see. All the way up. There we go. I want to hear everything. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but you have a slight whining sound. And I'm pretty sure you guys can hear it. Hopefully you can hear it, because I'm just recording off a separate. Then we have our mixture at idle. Wonder if it's a pull that's idle or not. But I would assume this is engine starting. So we pushed it all the way in. Yeah. Beacon on. Master switch on, blah blah blah. Skip to step 4 for a warm engine. I don't think this is a warm engine. First time, right guys? Auxiliary fuel pump on. Auxiliary. Where is my auxiliary fuel pump? Yeah, it would be down here. Oh, this seems on. I forgot where to check for that. I feel so bad. I'm sorry guys, I'm kind of beginner flying. I have like 6 hours. But auxiliary fuel pump, it'll be where it is. I'm not seeing it right now. So, mixture rich. This is where I mix it up with the mixture at idle. So I guess it's supposed to be idle and then mix. Huh. Weird. Stable fuel flow. There we go, right there. 35 seconds at idle cutoff. Okay. Auxiliary fuel pump off. Propeller area clear. So what you do now is yell out clear. This is what you guys see in all the YouTube videos. Open up this window. Yell out clear. Clear prop. What do you guys want to say? It's usually opinion based on what you guys do at your local FBO. So I usually yell clear. I think. Or clear prop. Can't really. Oh, look at that. Anyway, I can't really remember what I yell out, but I know it's something along those lines. So, ignition switch to start. We go ahead. Oh, I'm so nervous. Hit the back. You guys ready to turn on this thing? Let's look at a few other stuff first. You can do that, which is pretty neat, and there's different levels. Pretty neat. Okay, and you have the lights. Both lights. You have the backlights too. That's a little bit of an inside in lighting. But just looking around here before I start the engine. Just looking at the texture resolution. Very nice resolutions. Everything looks really neat. You can put this in 1080p if you want to see it to the best detail form factor. And that's where I put my headphones, blah blah blah. But yeah, back to I think I'm ready to start this thing. Wow. Am I missing something? Oh, there's the auxiliary fuel pump that I was looking for. It's off. Alright. So, propeller area clear, ignition set to start. Let's do this thing. What happened? Okay, it didn't start up, you know. Kinda disappointed. I think I left that battery going on for too long. Not sure, but let's try again. Alright then. I think that was a good insight. Fuel pumps are both. Thought it was cracked in slightly. Everything seems okay, but is it? So I mean, I'm starting at my. I believe this is fuel injection. Whoa. Whoa. Engine spinning. Epic. Epic, epic. Oh, I should turn my engine down to 1,000 RPM. I don't know if you guys can hear me clearly still, but I'm gonna raise my voice so you can hear me. Alright, so engine's running nicely. Go ahead, turn my volume down here. Don't wanna overhear everything. But yeah, so I have pretty good. Temps are not in the green yet, but that doesn't matter. They're not in the red either. Oil pressure is in the green. Vacuum a little bit lower since I'm not really in there. Amps looking good, looking good. Nice. Better lower down my throttle. I want to keep 1,000 RPM just for the staying on the ground. So then I want to check my oil pressure as I just did. It's in the green. Navigation lights as required. Turn on my nav light, my strobe. I think that's what you have to do. Sorry. But this is not a tutorial of any sort. This is just a first look, so you buyers out there can know the real detail of it. Navigation lights on as required. Avionics on, yeah. Radios. Oh, it's doing its test there. I don't know if you guys heard that. Radios on. So going to go ahead. Turn on my Garmin. Didn't run through the checks like it does in real life. Huh. Guess not. I guess it's default. Actually, I'm pretty sure it's not default, but it's supposed to run through some checks. I'm pretty sure. Turn on your comms. Comm radios. Your ADF. Your transponder. There's new laws regarding transponders. I just remembered that. I think it's supposed to be turned on to out. I think the FAA just released that it's supposed to be on out every single time you fly. Well, every single time you're on the ground or something like that. I don't know why, but I think it's supposed to be that way. I still think the engine is a little bit too loud, so I'm going to turn that down a little bit. Just for me, so I can talk to you guys. Then I guess this emergency thing is already on. I'm not really familiar to seeing this. Oh, this is autopilot. Interesting. Don't really have an autopilot. Am I that? I have no idea what's going on. I need help now. Anyway, the doors close on themselves. Flight controls free and correct. So go ahead, put these babies back out. I'm gonna look back out here. There we go. Make sure I can go up, down. Same if I can go. Oh, there we go. Left, down, and make sure the other side is the same as well. Looks pretty decent. Please forgive me about the frame rates because I'm currently live streaming, so it's not really the best. Flight instruments check and set. So I'm not gonna really do anything here. I'm at the default Friday Harbor. I spawned here because I wanted everyone to get the same perspective, because everybody has been to Friday Harbor. If you get FSX, you're gonna start off there sometime. So I mean, everybody knows how this looks. So just for the relative respect, everybody can see and relate to where I'm at the fuel pump. Fuel instruments check and set. So I'm not gonna really set it to the altitude of the elevation of the airport, because I don't really even know that. Okay, okay. Stop begging. I'll go ahead and check that. So I assume once you click on Friday Harbor, you can see elevation is 113. So I believe these goes by 20s. So it should be okay. I mean, this is at 120 exact. Nothing too bad. Not bad at all, right? Okay. No other instruments I don't see I should do right now because this is just an unboxing. Fuel selector, I have to recheck that it's both. Mixture rich. Throttle 800 R. Okay, this is before the checkout, but I did some of it as just a standby check here. So I guess I'm going to text you over now. Oh, I'm gonna move this thing for the first time. Watch me do this, guys. Watch this. Watch this. Watch the pro work. Alright. So, you're going to use a little bit of differential braking to avoid this here. I know this is hard. Guess I'm going to have to... Hopefully there's no damage mod on that. Trying to avoid that fuel area. Alright, I did it successfully without a pushback. So a little bit things about this aircraft as we're taxiing. This, as I'm watching here, it has a 3D propeller. So for those of you guys that don't know what a 3D propeller is, you guys might be thinking of like, oh my gosh, sorry I'm taxiing fast, I can't even get a relative speed here, but I have to be gentle with this because this is like a real aircraft. If I damage it, it's gonna show me damages in the workshop. But a 3D propeller is when you can look at the side here as it's spinning and you can see that it's three-dimensional. A lot of those aircraft on FSX, you look at the propellers while they're moving by the side of them, it's not 3D. And you guys were probably thinking I'm talking about 3D when it's cold and dark. Obviously it's 3D because it's modeled, but while it's spinning, they're just getting that technology out in FSX. And first, I believe it was in the Majestic Magic Sim or something, some turboprop out there. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys know that. Majestic Sim or something like that. Majestic software. Anyway, but a few little key things I noticed as I was actually doing the walk around with you guys. Just a few rivets that I really like to see. And you can hear the sounds to spin this thing up to 1800 on the clock, and I'm going to change my mags so I can make sure there's drops and differences. So it might get a little bit noisy, so I'm going to go ahead, mute this, and I'm going to hold down the brakes as you can see I'm doing here. I'm going to turn it up to 1500, 1600, 1700, and 1800, and you can see that this is shaking. The panel is shaking, which is pretty neat. So while we're holding this, I mean, don't worry, this is not damaging anything for you noobs out there. We're going to be to look at this and see the differences as it drops as I change the magnetos. So right now it should be a little bit, let me raise it up a little tad bit there. Slightly there. Very good. And I'm going to change it. Oh my gosh, shaking so violently. So max RPM, change it to left. You can see it dips a little bit, and then it should be max drop 150. 50 is differential. Raise it back to both. See the rise. Then I'm going to go to right. See the drop. Wow, I have a lot bigger drop in the right, which I noticed, which is weird. Should check that out. Don't feel like doing that right now. And then switch back to both. I have it both again. So Engine, vacuum, all that stuff is pretty much in the green. Nothing too bad. Annunciator panel, nothing illuminated. Good, good. Now let's set this back to idle, so all the way out, not at 1,000 RPM. I'm gonna make sure. Let me pause this real quick. I'm gonna turn up my sound so I can hear. I want to hear to see the engine if it chokes. Engine's not choking, so that's good. And then you raise it back up to 1,000. So there, good. We're good. Radios, lights, set. Not gonna want to turn on any of the lights. I mean, I think I'm good. Elevator trim, set in the takeoff position. Wing flaps, set 0 to 10. Most of the time, you're not gonna use flaps in takeoff for these type of aircraft. But take off. So mixture rich, all the way in. Throttle slowly advance to full open. Lightly lift the nose up at 55 knots. Climb speed 70 to 80. Wing flaps, retract. Alright, so just after takeoff, we're going to be at that specified airspeed, throttle full open, mixture rich, lean 3K for max RPM. So, yeah, I guess so. 3,000 feet for max RPM. Power 2,000 to 2,400 RPM for cruise. I guess we'll come back to this once because we're going to be doing a traffic pattern today, so you guys know. Nothing too fancy, okay? I don't want to waste your time too much. This is runway 16. Go ahead, set this little bugger to 16. I was really concerned about the frame rates on this, and I'm still really impressed. I mean, sure, it might be laggy to you, but smooth to me. Don't know about you guys, don't care. But yeah, so we're just gonna go ahead and get started with the takeoff. So there's no biggie. Basically, usually what my instructor likes to do, he likes to stop here, but like he likes to shift the aircraft window this way, and this way you could see who's on final to make sure there's nobody on final. But hey, this is FSX. Not with A2A though. You have to be careful with this aircraft. Don't get that wrong. Oh, and I noticed something really neat. I know this is noticed. Yeah, I know this is not the easiest for me to turn in real life either. So make sure any of those AI girls are down there. Oh man. Oh, who do you think you are? Oh, that's the guy that took off before. Oh my gosh. And this always happens in videos, man. Oh, I hate those guys. Take off before he gets up. See if I can go, if he can go underneath me. I can go above him. If not, I'll just go into the settings and disable AI traffic. Doesn't seem to be a problem right now. So go ahead, slowly increase. Alright. So, I'm going to pause real quick. I know this is kind of weird to pause and take off, the most anticipated moment. But usually, once you get to like rolling, I'm going to make sure I have to yell out 3 green to my instructor. To say that there's 3 green out of these instruments here. So I'd say 3 green. And make sure I'm at 55 knots. Slight, okay. That wasn't a slow takeoff. Sorry. Alright, we're in the air. Climb speed is 70 to 80 knots. You can see the TCAS is alerting me already. Gonna keep this at full speed here. I'm gonna go ahead, before I cause a collision with that other aircraft there, I'm gonna go ahead, turn. Alright. Remember, I have my aircraft collision lights on. I mean, my collision feature on in episode 6, and I don't want that ruining this beautiful live stream, right, guys? So I'm going underneath. I would say about 100. I want to stay at maybe as a speed. But I'm gonna go ahead and go into downwind. And you can hear the comms as well. So I'm trimming to make sure that I'm fine. I'm doing pretty good. And on the checklist it says for climb I'm going to want my power at 2000 to 400. So I'm gonna make this disappear a little bit, and I mean for cruise, supposed to keep it between that, in the green area. So I'm gonna go opposite of 16. Make sure I'm totally 180 from 16. Alright. I'm gonna keep 80, so I'm gonna do a little bit of a maneuver while I'm here. I'm gonna do some slow flight. It's an exercise where put your flaps all the way down and you kind of stay at a lower speed, and you can stay at this low speed. It's called slow flight. As long as I'm in the green, I should be okay. With slow flight, which is the neat thing about it, you can control your climb with this. So if I push up my throttle, my aircraft will climb. If I push down my throttle, my aircraft will descend. So that's the neatest thing about slow flight, and it does it excellently in this aircraft, this A2A aircraft. Very nice. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep the flaps down because I'm going to be landing soon. But this is my first flight with you guys, and I'm very happy to be showing you guys my flight. Let me trim the aircraft down a bit so it stays on a good angle. I'm in slow flight because I want to maximize the time of the flight. I really like this. Alright, descent. So this is more like a fail. I mean, I'm not the best at making landings under pressure, especially when all of you guys are watching me right now. I'm not going to brag about my landings or anything, but I'm just saying I'm not gonna land. This is a realistic aircraft, and it would be a mockery if I landed right now. So I'm gonna do the right thing. Pull up my flaps, full throttle, and I'm going to go around. Just like a real pilot would. Yeah. Thought I was gonna land, didn't you? So we can go up a little bit higher. This is so much better than driving a Lamborghini to me. Well, actually flying this aircraft in real life. I mean, it's a really splendor, especially while flying. I mean, I was hoping for A2A to create a plane this neat and this detailed. I mean, I never knew it would come this soon, you know? I'm very happy. It really must be my birthday right now. So right now I'm just about to end the live stream as I land. I mean, based on what I've seen, I can say that this is an aircraft you will want to buy. I'm going to give this, out of 5 stars, I'm going to give this, based from what I've seen so far, I'm going to give this roughly about a 4 star for the 4.5 star for the detail. Because, I mean, no aircraft is perfect. As much as you would like to argue that, in FSX, there's so much more that you can improve on anything. This aircraft is a really nice aircraft, don't get me wrong, but there was some things that I saw, just the detailed overall, and I'm pretty sure that's because of FSX limitations. And I'm pretty sure that's going to be covered up in Prepared 3D, the next version. The wheels, I think they looked a lot better on the Piper Cub. Some of the textures, I think they looked better on the Piper Cub. And don't get me wrong, this is a really nice aircraft. But the Piper Cub was a really HD aircraft, man. That was something to look at. That was pretty impressive aircraft. But I mean, this aircraft, I know that it's going to be one of my favorites because I fly it in real life. I really like this aircraft a lot so far, and I know that I want to be using it a lot, especially for training. As you can hear, the wheels, the suspension, very nice with the Accu feel. So I'm gonna go ahead, pull up my flaps. I mean, power seems correct. Power settings. One thing I wanted to focus on was flight dynamics. Flight dynamics are a big issue with flight simmers. I can say that this really feels great from what I've flown. Really nice flight dynamics. But the thing is, flight dynamics is all perspective. I know a lot of you guys hear when someone talks about flight dynamics on YouTube or listen to reviews and stuff, but flight dynamics is all perspective. I can have a really horrible joystick and you can have a state-of-the-art joystick. I can say this is realistic, but to your state-of-the-art joystick it may be doing something to say, oh no, this flight dynamic is very unrealistic. So it all has to do with the sensitivity of things. Even the sensitivity inside your FSX settings is a variable. There's so many variables of flight dynamics, and I know flight dynamics is a big issue in the flight sim community, and I can tell you straight up that it shouldn't be as big as you think it is. Flight dynamics are easily adjustable, especially with these sensitivity controls and stuff like that. Just how you feel the aircraft fly, it takes a lot, especially with flight dynamics and sensitivity of your joystick. So, I mean, so far, I mean, I've really enjoyed this. But once I park, I'm gonna go ahead and just tell you guys what I really think about this aircraft, whether it was whether it was truly worth me buying. I know you guys might buy it, but whether it was worth me buying, of course, my opinion on things. So, I know, let's get a little bit closer to the terminal here. And we're going to go back to the fuel box so this little girl can land. It was probably a hard landing because I had a lot of fuel. What I notice, it takes a lot to power this aircraft. A lot of thrust. Alright. So, I'm gonna go ahead, put this over here. Go ahead, leave it like that. Actually, most common in conception is you're supposed to put your wheel on this, but this is where your rear wheels go. So my rear wheels are there. I should have just did a perfect park right there. I'm loving it. This is a perfect park. Anyway, so I know we didn't really follow procedures. I'm gonna go ahead. Okay, so it doesn't really have shutdown checklists, so let me open up my window, pull this back out. Actually, I'm just doing it based upon the procedures that I do in real life. Pull this all the way back out, put this to off. Go ahead, turn up my nav show, beacon stays on. I believe it was beacon stays on. Go ahead, shut all my avionics off, just leaving it as I found it. Alright, avionics off. Altimeter and battery switch off. Alternator, I mean. But, let's go ahead and put our control lock back in. Oh, I have to pair that. I'll go ahead and put our... I wonder why. Maybe I have to... This is really advanced. I mean, flight dynamics for me were just like real life as I was flying. And I mean, I did not really notice any difference from when I was... I'm probably going flight lessons later this week, and I mean, it was pretty neat. Just the detail from afar, you can see the reflection and refraction of the different surfaces. The windshields to under the wing, it looks and feels like a real Cessna. I mean, compared to default, this is a real big jump in realism. So, even in the virtual cockpit, back to the virtual cockpit, it's a really, really beautiful featurette. I mean, let me go in the back and look at even more of the aircraft. Personally, oh, sorry guys. Yeah, but personally, from what I've seen here, kinda outside a little bit, but from what I've seen here, it looks realistic from the fact that everything that I've seen in here is unparalleled to the real life Cessna. Even the cushioning has indentations of where zip lines are made, and then you have indentations on the wall here. Cessna 172s are really, really interesting aircraft to create in FSX because these are the aircraft that really are the simplest and one of the easiest to make. Once you take an aircraft like that and you tune out the specific features of it, and you tune out the specific detail of it, and you bring it into a term of FSX and features, all of that, every single thing, and you put it and compile it into one realistic effort, you get A2A's effort. They basically made a simple aircraft really complicated in a good way for FSX. You know what I mean? But generally, I'm loving the texture resolution and detail. So, what you guys have been waiting for, cons, and should you buy it or not? My cons, from what I've seen so far, I still think that the Cub was a little bit more detailed in texture resolution. I don't know what it is. It may be just my screen. But sure, when you look close at some things, you're gonna notice it doesn't look as realistic. From afar, it looks good. Um, I wish I had more detail, because they said it was supposed to be a trainer. I wish I could hold these things and I could move them. Um, and a few other things that I haven't seen, like moving the aircraft without actually touching. Because I know with the Piper, you could tow it. I still have to look in the manual, but you know, I really want to be able to tow the aircraft, do different stuff like that. Let me just make sure inside the aircraft, I mean, it's still like new. I did a perfect landing. You guys saw. I'm glad. And I mean, but some of the cons were some of the textures in some areas, really. If I look at the virtual cockpit, it does still look blurry on the ground. Um, and even from looking at this video, you might think that, oh, this looks like a replica of the cockpit in the default. But like at first glance, it looks like a replica. But in reality, some, I mean, it isn't. But some textures are better than others. However, yeah, as I said again, I mean, some textures are really good. For example, these textures on the wall, and the rust on the microphone inputs. I've noticed that. Yes, A2A. I've noticed that as well. And underneath here is even detail. Like some aircraft, they don't even bother to model what's underneath here, underneath the dash. I mean, it's detailed. There's lights underneath here. Not even sure how to turn those lights on. Personally, I haven't even flown in the nighttime yet. I know, I'm just embarrassing myself left and right. But from what I noticed, they know how to model. Almost everything in here is clickable. Almost everything. So, emergency thing over here, I know there's something to do with over there. Don't think you can touch that, and I don't think it's relevant. The Hobbs actually works, guys, which I thought was a big plus. 4 hours. Well, I don't know if that's hours. Maybe it is, but I don't know. It's kind of weird. But you can see the dirt and the reflection on the glass. In all, using this as a trainer is ideal. Looking over here, looking even at the seatbelts, I think this could be a little bit higher texture resolution here. The seatbelts. That's just my opinion. I think I've seen better. But I'm not trying to compare this to anybody else. But based on what they've been doing so far, it's pretty good. Everything is functional. And I know that's like really, really talking wildly from a Cessna's aspect, but truly, it is all functional. Except these switch breakers, which I really thought they would have implemented this. I really thought that if one of these breakers were out, my GPS would be out as well. Stuff like that, little things like that, I would like them to include. Just like, I mean, you never use. I've always seen Captain Sim aircraft simulate these switch breakers, and of course, not all of them were simulated. But I mean, things like this you could have done a little bit. But overall, I think I would recommend this. I think that you should buy this. This has been a pleasure flying this right now. And I mean, right now if you look in the market, there's no other training aircraft available to this extent of realism. Sure, there's a bunch of other aircraft to buy, but this one has been the best I've seen in terms of realism. I can do almost everything with this that I do in real life. And I'm pretty happy that I bought it. I don't think there's any regrets that I bought it. I don't think so, not yet. I'm still looking at. But generally, this is A2A's work. Everybody knows they do a fine job. Even in places you don't see, you can see there's even modeling there. A2A, they always go to the best and the realest extent to make sure that their aircraft are as real as possible. And I think I appreciate that from you, A2A, and I thank you for that. So, this is the official closing of my live stream, my first live stream on YouTube, and I thank you guys for joining me today and being a part of this. I mean, couldn't have done it without you guys watching and just seeing this new aircraft, the A2A C 172, Cessna 172 Skyhawk, just released today, and I'm proud to be live streaming this event. So it was probably released either yesterday or today, either one. But yeah, this is it. So while you guys are probably pressing that X button on the closing, I'm going to be, as I said again, you have to prepare for the shutdown. You can't leave this aircraft without making sure everything is okay. Everything's shut off, or I'm going to do a complete overhaul to make sure that I've done everything okay. Transponder on, everything, I have to make sure everything's off. So I'm going to go ahead, put my wheel chocks, my tie downs, fuel pump. I don't think I need a fuel pump. Pitot heat. Okay, that's turning it on. I don't want to turn it on right now. But glare shield, panel. Don't think there's anything for that. Let me go into the cockpit and see if that does anything. Oh, where was I? Yeah, right there. Oh, doesn't pop up anything to me. I have to read the manual. But yeah, I think I've just locked up and secured the aircraft. I think I've done pretty good. Guys, I thank you for watching again, and I hope you get to buy this aircraft, especially for the real pilots out there. This will enhance your training far more than you've ever expected. So, see you guys. Peace. Greetings, my flight simmers. This is me, Michael C136, and I'm coming to you with the new A2A Cessna 172. Now, this has always been a product that has been close to me because this is the first aircraft that I've actually flown, and I'm really happy to be reviewing it right now and showing you guys a first look. Now, I'm going to be totally honest with you. This is my first look. There hasn't been any other looks in the past. This is I literally saw it on my Facebook wall feed. I went to my PayPal, I bought it, I came into FSX, and now I'm doing this. So, please excuse any errors or anything that should come into the way of the video, because this is totally raw, me just doing this by myself. So, as a live stream, I'm just going to show you guys a few details of the aircraft that I noticed. I mean, from just taking it out of the box, I can notice that the reflection on the wings is very impressive. I've noticed a lot of detail in even the bolts and things such as that. It's all HD resolution, and even when I look through the engine here, it looks all 3D. The textures are that HD that it almost looks like there's tessellation in FSX. I set ease lock today to follow my mouse, so it should be a lot easier for you guys to follow along with this tutorial. Or this first look, I should say. So let me zoom out here. Not too much where you're seeing underneath the world. But just taking a closer look at little things like the detail of the wheels. As you can see, all the bolts and the rivets are connected there. Even scratches on the actual, more like dirt marks, just for the realism.